Yesterday, one candidate, my advisors told me don't mention names, but I think there's only two other candidates, so it's Mr. Taman. Mr. Taman said the president has soft power, so he agreed that the president has soft power. But Mr. Taman said also that the soft power is effective only when there is good relations between the president and the prime minister. I want to say I agree. If I am elected as president, I will seek to have good relations with the prime minister so that we can work out a better way to achieve our common goals. And these common goals are to bring down the cost of living for the people, to provide affordable housing, and to provide secure and well-paying jobs. These are our common goals, and I will collaborate with the Prime Minister in a close relationship way to achieve these goals. It is very easy for Mr. Taman to have good relations with the Prime Minister because they share the same policies, the same ideas for 20 over years. So the policies will continue. It will be very difficult for Mr. Taman to think of different policies. He is not a chameleon. He can change color. So he's been associated with the ruling government policies for 20 over years. So as president, he will have good relationship with the prime minister, no doubt about that, but they will continue the same policies. The people of Singapore want some of the policies to be changed, and therefore they got a choice to vote for me so that I can convey to the Prime Minister the wishes, the aspirations, and even the hardship of the people. It will be a challenge for me to bring about change, especially if the Prime Minister prefers other policies. But it is a challenge that I'm willing to take, and I am quite determined to do my best to convey to the government, to the Prime Minister, to the ministers, my ideas of how some policies can be changed that will not harm the country's finances, but will bring great relief to the people. I know that these are not the actual constitutional duties of the president, but the president has a role to convey to the government the feelings of the people. For example, if the government is taxing the people too much on GST and other taxes, petrol tax, GST, is it possible at least to defer the 1% GST increase next year to a better time? It won't bring down the cost of living, but it will stop further increases. These are examples. There will be other examples. And I think the people of Singapore will want me to convey this to the Prime Minister, and I will do so, not in confrontation, but in consultation and collaboration. I want to say the relationship between the Prime Minister and the President should be among equals. It is not one superior and the other less superior. It's among equal, and both sides must respect each other, and we should seek cooperation, because confrontation does not help. We have to spend our energy solving the problem, not fighting each other. Some people consider me to be opposition. I am not opposition. Opposition does not help. I am a problem solver. I see the problem, I analyze and I understand from feedback what are the most important elements of that problem. As a problem solver, I know how to solve very difficult problems. That is my contribution. And that is how I built NTUC income to grow 600 times in 30 years. I also want to talk about international affairs. I have been involved in international travel and meeting very senior people for 20 years. When I was involved in the International Cooperative and Insurance Federation. I was even elected to be the chairman for 5 years. And remember, Singapore is a small country. NTUC Income is a small company compared with insurance companies around in other countries. But I'm quite happy to represent Singapore in this international stage. When I travel overseas for 20 years, my wife accompanied me. And although she is a homemaker and not a working lady, she gets along extremely well with the spouses and sometimes the husbands, if the spouse is a working person, the husbands. So with the spouses of these other large companies in the board of directors. They love her because she will talk about children. At that time we have no grandchildren. She'll talk about children, she'll talk about food, and she'll talk about culture. That are her strengths. So I have no problem. Me and my wife have no problem on the international stage. We may not be as extensive as Mr. Taman, but we are more than adequate. So I thank you. I got one more item. Several people have told me that there is a scammer, a scam person who is asking for donation for TKL campaign using an UEN. My people donating to me will use my mobile phone. Somebody sent around a post on using an UEN. I received feedback from more than 20 people. Mr. Tan, someone is using your name to scam. Please stop it. Even the election department sent to me, Mr. Tan, someone is using your fundraising to scam other people. Please stop it. So, even one of my senior campaign team asked me, he got also a lot of feedback about this scammer, asked me to stop it. And I told this senior campaign team member, why don't you just pay $1 to the UEN? When you pay $1 to the UEN, you know who is the recipient, the name. It's very easy. So he will be arranging for somebody to pay $1. He doesn't want to use his own bank account because he's afraid that it will be exposed to the other party. So he will use another person to pay the $1. For me, when I go back, I will use my own bank account to pay $1. And we know who the scammer is. But I think the scammer will quickly remove his bank account because after he hear the news, he will remove it. So it's actually quite easy to deal with scams. Any one of us can do our part. You just pay the $1, collect the details, and make a police report. That is what I intend to do afterwards when I go home. Thank you.